What is up, fantasy hockey fans and league managers of the league fantasy hockey? It's the Storks Desk, episode 4, here on this TNT Wednesday, October the 18th, 2023. And we have a completed fantasy week in the books. And we have just started week 2, um, joined by our buddy, the deputy in Surrey, BC, Kevin Stork, and from the state of hockey, the Colonel, Nick Reedy, has rejoined us. Gentlemen, week 1 of the books. How's your fantasy teams doing?
Well, before we go too far, there was a bet between me and the deputy regarding a certain game that, I'm going to have to say, one, thank you to Toronto because they lit a fire under my wild.
Oh, I love it.
There it is.
But here we go, Storky. Just for
I
you.
love it. Absolutely
This will be my
it.
background for the remainder of the podcast. So, good job, Storky. It was close, and then we just got beat down. We could not stop Austin Matthews or pretty much anybody. So, good game, and only loss we have so far. So,
I love that logo.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, you picked a good one there, Stork.
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
nice
What about Austin Matthews? Holy crap, he looks like he's back, even though they threw up a dud in their last game. But yeah, Stork, you got to be happy. Myself passed up on Austin Matthews. This guy's I don't think scored in that Chicago game, but the guy started off with 6 goals. He was the NHL's #1 star of the week, and Toronto licking their wounds from the last game, but I think they're looking pretty good. I love the grit. You got to be happy as hell, Stork, fantasy wise and Toronto Maple Leafs wise.
Well, I mean, I realize that you can't win every game, but the Leafs, in tradition for the last few seasons, they seem to play better against the good teams, and then they just lay eggs against the bad ones. And a game in Toronto against Chicago and all those young kids and all the injuries Chicago had, and they just put up a dud. And that's the way the Leafs have been for the last few seasons. And it looks like that is still a real thing this season. So hopefully they come up big against Florida tomorrow night.
Indeed. So hopefully you guys can see my slide in the background. This is the official results of the League Fantasy Hockey Week 1, and unfortunately all 3 of us took losses last week on the chin. Let's start with Storky. You guys, you and Dan Hall had a great matchup. As I'm trying to find my board from last week here, week 1. There we go. We're in week 2 right now. But Storky, you took one on the chin to Dan Hall, the new team, the Killer Bunnies, but it was a close matchup, 11-9. That match went back and forth all week. Frozen Norseman, you were back and forth all week last week with the new team Cherry Bombs, but she pulled away at the end, 16-5. Only myself had a worse loss than you, sir. Pro Etiquette, this guy's on fire. Dave Snellgrove and his club torched the Ad Americans 17-4. So let's go to Nick real quick. What'd you think of your matchup with Alex and the Cherry Bomb? She looked pretty good. That's who I'm playing this week.
Like I said, like you already said, we went back and forth literally till the last day. And what killed me was my goaltending. During the draft, I made it very clear that I wasn't going to pick up a goalie until the end. And looking back, it wasn't a horrible decision because if you look at where we are at goals, she only had 1 more goal than I did. I had more points, more assists. My plus minus was better. She had more goons in the box. We were pretty even on power play attempts and goals. I had a shorty, which was great. She only beat me by 4 shots on goals, 5 face-off wins, and 3 hits. So, I mean, we were right there the entire week. But when it came down to goaltending, I couldn't get it done. I had 1 win, 2 losses. I let in 12 goals. She had more saves than I did, mostly because my goalies kept getting pulled. So
Yeah.
it was a rough week goaltending. But I have hats off to Alex. Yeah, she put together a pretty good squad, and the rotation that she's got is pretty nasty because she's always got somebody up there who can put some points up. So,
Yeah.
nope,
I'm
it was
feeling
good.
that this week. She definitely gets the goonery in. Unlike you last week, I never had a chance out the gates. Not going to make excuses. The schedule wasn't kind to me. I didn't want to. I was out of it by Thursday, guys. In fact, I mean, if it wasn't for some cheap stuff the last couple of days, I almost would have got shut out. Dave just needed a couple more goalie categories, and he would have had it. Kale McCarr, for the most part, was my only goal scorer off the bat until the weekend. I ended up popping home just 6 goals, and most of them were from my defensemen. So a frustrating week. Hats off to Dave Snellgrove. His power play, his New Jersey Devils, his Vancouver Canucks. He's definitely going to be a thorn in y'all's side in the Gretzky division. But the other final scores, guys, Huma, the only victim this week of the goaltending rule. He only got 2 starts in. Unfortunately for Julio, none of his goaltending counted, and he would have had the win if he could have got one more start, most likely. Raymond Womack takes advantage, come from behind victory. He wins 14-8. So a huge loss by Huma, and we'll see how he responds to that this week. The Woody Woodpeckers, Mark Wood, his team looked pretty good last week. He beat the DuPont Plate Players 12-7. He's got great goaltending. And then the Grapes matchup of the week last week, the Stork Cup rematch. Raymond does it again. He beats Scott Lanham's Nova Fire Brigade 13-7. I believe Scott wasn't a fan of Gary Bettman's first week of NHL scheduling either, but hey, we all had to play it. And those were the final scores, guys. Was there another game that stood out to you guys in week 1 that you might have crossed your mind here you want to talk about? Good couple of fantasy teams out there.
Well, I
Storky?
mean, my game with Dan, and we've had plenty of battles together, and it was close. But I noticed one thing that I've corrected, and so far so good. I've improved my centers and are winning some faceoffs now, so that's good because I was atrocious last season. So I wanted to fix that, but kind of the goaltending department kind of beat me this week. That's why Dan edged me out. His goaltender was just slightly better than mine. But yeah, that's too bad about Julio. I was looking at that and I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's going to cost him the week. You really got to watch those goaltender starts. You got to make sure you got your 3. And if you don't on Saturday or Sunday, if you're short, you're going to have to make a couple of moves and get a goaltender in there, whether he's a good goalie or not. You don't want to lose those points because that'll cost you.
Yes, indeed. And Don Cherry, guys, fresh off the press here from a couple days ago. His preseason board is all flipped over already. No doubt about it. Pro Etiquette, I think, is the number 1 strongest team coming out of last week. Cherry loves him. Donnie Boy went 3-3 last week. Did Grapes. Unfortunately for Nick in his picks, he was 2-4 in league pick'ems. He was able to get Washington and DB Cooper correct. Jimmy was also like Don Cherry, 3-3. He got Dave correct, beating myself. Mark Wood and Alex. Storky, you were pretty good, 4-2. So you're in first place in our league pick'ems. Your only wrong picks were you picked DuPont and Nick. Nick let you down. So we'll get y'all's picks for this week here in a little bit. But what do you think of Don Cherry's poll here? He's got Adnan in last place there in the tuna. Any other things that stand out here? We won't really go over everybody, but some teams that started up high, like he's always got Nova up there. That's probably the lowest Nova I've ever seen here in the existence of the league. And unfortunately, Nick, you did move up one spot, so good job there.
Yeah,
Guys.
It was all the drinking he was doing, because how does he put DB Cooper down in 11 and put him up in a second? Come on.
Yeah.
I don't trust anything this guy says. He's just there's no parity. It's just this guy.
I agree with Nick on this one.
Put the
he's old. He's like 86 now. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about anymore.
He's still
but I gotta say, I'm getting dizzy myself looking at Nick and that profile behind him. I love it. I can't wait till the Leafs go to Minnesota later this year. I'm gonna have to mark that on the calendar.
I'm sure we'll have more wagers here as the season goes on. But go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just saying, I don't know what Donnie Boy wants to do, but he can find another league to pester for all I care, because he may be 86, but I'll still kick him in his hip. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, like I said, great debut for Alex and the Cherry Bombs. She's in third place there. I could have easily seen her. And McJesus is just now starting to get going, guys. The Oilers came out of the gates kind of slow as far as the win-loss column. They're still getting good stats, but Vancouver Canucks beat that team right off the bat, back-to-back games. But Oilers put a thumping on Nashville last night as we got into week 2. Leon Draisaitl and McJesus starting to heat up here.
Just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time indeed. And like I said, I think Mark Wood's team looked really good last week. I'm still trying to scratch my head in the draft. He's got Sorokin. Who was his? Vasi's hurt, and he has another top-notch goalie. So he's looking pretty solid in the nets. He had balanced goal scoring. He just picked up Josh Norris, who here in week 2, his first game back in a long time, just beat the Washington Capitals 6-1. He scored twice in his first game in forever. That was an ugly game for my Caps, by the way. Might be a long season, but Mark Wood, I think, has a really good squad this year. And Don Cherry was harsh on Dan Hall's team. Who gave you the most trouble last week, Storky, on Dan Hall's team? Holly's Killer Bunnies ended up squeaking it out. He went with a lot of Hurricanes, I noticed, there in the final push versus you.
Yeah. Well, he's got a good team, and he's going to be top all year. Yeah, I mean, like what we talked about last week, we have a lot of parity in this league, and it's going to go up and down the standings all season long. We're going to see ups and downs for everybody, and hopefully Prober Etiquette will go on a losing streak, because that'll make me happy. Boo to Dave.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't wait to play him, but I got a big match myself this week, so I'm doing okay so far. I want to get back to 500. I do not want to go to 0-2. I'm sure neither of us want to do that. So we all three of us have to come up with big weeks to get back to 1-1.
Yeah, the only weak link so far on Dave's squad, it appears that Timo Meier, he was benched the other night.
Yeah.
That's his team captain on his. Things aren't going well for Timo Meier. I'm not sure. I haven't really watched too many Devils games as of yet. Jack Hughes, though, looks phenomenal. Holy crap. 3 stars of the week, guys, last week. Like we said, Austin Matthews had 6 goals in just 2 games played before the stars came out. So he's red hot. That was obviously Stork's player there, the Langley Scorpions, getting the number 1 star. Elias Pettersson, man, this guy was throwing body checks. Hellacious on the power play. He ended up with 1 goal, 5 assists for 6 points in the 2 games of last week. And then what about Geno Malkin, guys? He got the 3rd star. That is Alex Buchanan's player that she drafted really late. Everybody kept passing on Geno. This guy's on fire. I believe he scored again tonight to start week 2. He had 2 goals, 4 assists, and 6 points in 3 games played. He torched my Washington Capitals in that opening night. What are your thoughts on those three players? Geno Malkin, Nick, hot out of the gates. Is he back?
I don't know if he's back, but I mean, he's definitely starting to get back to his beginning self. I think he just needed to get back on the ice and start moving around again. We saw that with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl too, coming out slow. It's been a long off season, and I think that they were starting to feel it a little bit. Getting up to game speed does help, but yeah, I think it's a good pick. I think he did great. It just, how do you compete with someone who puts up, what it was, 6 goals and 8 points in the first 3 games? That's just incredible.
So, all right. Well, that was week 1. All three of us licking our wounds at 0-1. But a lot of hockey. We got 20 weeks to go, guys, to redeem ourselves. Let's take a look at this week's action, if I could find my slide here. And there we go. Week 2 is back to the divisions. And last week, the Gretzky ended up taking it on the chin to the Ovechkin division, as the Ovi division won 4 times, guys. Gretzky won it last year, the competition. So that will return here in a couple weeks. But this week, guys, it is divisional matchups. And Grapes, his matchup of the week, if I can find my own slide here, I believe he's got Mark Raymond and Whalen going at it. Guys, who wants to go first? Who did you guys select in that matchup? It's as I'm trying to find it here. We got the Woody Woodpeckers and Whalen, the Washington Wendigo. That match currently 15-5 Mark. Donnie Boy went with the Woody Woodpeckers. Anybody want to go on that one?
Yeah, I went with the Wendigo. I looked at last season or last week, and they, barely squeaked it out with Juma, but they still have the star power to compete. However, as I look at the scores right now, they're not really competing too much with Mark's Woody Woodpecker. So that's who I picked. I kind of regret it now, but at the same time, I still have faith.
Yeah, Whalen flirted with that goaltending disaster. If you recall, he never really has goalies on his roster. He's like a mercenary. He'll pick up netminders the day of. And in fact, last week, he almost played with fire because he didn't have a goalie until Friday. Darcy Kemper was his scheduled starter, and Kemper got yanked from opening night because he had a newborn. He ended up playing that. He ended up picking up Charlie Lindgren, but he was able to escape 3 straight days with picking up netminders. There was only 2 games on Sunday. I know Stork picked up a netminder too to get the 3. But what are you thinking of the guys of this 3-starter minimum goalie thing? I think it adds an interesting wrinkle. Storky?
I don't have any problem with it at all. I mean, you've got to put a limit on goaltending because, like we talked about before, you don't want to have one goalie start and the guy gets a shutout and you just sit down on it and let it ride for the week. That's just unfair. I think you need to get those 3 starts in there. And I think it's important that we do that as opposed to not having a limit. So it's, it's bad if you don't pay attention to it, and it's going to cost you a game. And you can't make that mistake too many times when you've only got a 21-game season. But I'm totally okay with the 3-start goalies per week because that's not asking a lot, and it's not asking too much.
Yeah, back to the picks and the Mark Wood versus Whalen matchup. Woody Woodpeckers 15, Washington 5 at this juncture. I also picked Mark this week. His other goalie is UC Saros. So Saros ran into some problems the other night, but I don't think. Mark started Sorokin last night, who already got a shutout. So embarrassment of riches in the nets for Mark. I think he's going to go a long way with that stuff. So he's getting great production from Leon Draisaitl, who's already got a 4-point week, guys, and he picked up Josh Norris. Mark's firing on all cylinders. Nick, who did you have in that matchup?
I had the Wendigo.
Okay. And little bit of a slow start for Whalen. The San Jose Sharks haven't been that bad off the start here. A lot of people predicting them to be dead last. Thomas Hertl has a couple of apples in that one. But Whalen still, he's already got a win actually with Darcy Kemper this week. And he's got 2 starts. So this week, it doesn't look like Whalen will have a goaltending issue. He's already 1-1 with Darcy Kemper. So, Storky, who did you have in this matchup?
I don't have my list in front of me.
I think I do. Hold on 1 second. You picked the Woodchucks with Mark Wood.
I did.
So
I took Mark's team, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have my
All
list with me. I guess I should have been more prepared.
I went with that one because that's Grapes' favorite matchup for some reason, he said. Let's move on to the Gretzky division. Probert Etiquette is taking on the DuPont Pipeliners this week. Right now, it's pretty close. Dave has a 13-8 lead, but as I say that, he's got 6 goals, and DuPont has nothing yet. DuPont has a lot of those. He's one of those homers. He's got a lot of Kraken. Seattle Kraken look really bad, guys. Have you been able to catch any of their contests yet? They are just not able to put the puck in the net.
They look slow, but they'll speed up.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay, but I don't think we're going to see the same Seattle team that we did last year. Like I had said with our NHL predictions, I didn't pick them to make a playoff spot this year. I think what they did last year was remarkable. I think they were playing over their heads. They do have some good talent there, but they're just not ready for to be a consistent NHL playoff team.
Yeah, the dangerous and beauty about Dave's team, as we talk about this matchup, he's got Andrei Svechnikov waiting in the wings. Kind of scary what Dave's got there. I picked Tim though to avenge me to win this week, guys. Don Cherry thinks I'm nuts. He went with Dave. That's his number. It's weird because if you remember, Don picked DuPont to win it all this year. He's already lost faith in him, as you saw in the rankings. He's already got Tim way down there. Storky, in this matchup, I believe you picked David as well. Yes, and Nikki. I don't think I've ever called you Nikki. Nikki, the Colonel. Do you remember who you picked, the Colonel?
DuPont.
Looks like you had you had DuPont, so you're a Dave hater. Get ready, boys.
Baby.
You'll be playing Dave soon. So it's still early. It's Wednesday. There's only 2 games tonight. Full slate of action tomorrow. Let's look at Tim's roster real quick. Yeah, he's just not getting any. He has Everly. When we were talking about the Kraken, who else did he have? Did he have Vince Dunn? Yeah, he has Vince Dunn. I think he dropped a few Kraken last time I seen his roster. So, he's got some great players. Sidney Crosby, Kyle Connor. Crosby, I don't think he did anything tonight. Well, he has an assist.
Yeah, he got an assist.
Yeah, so we'll see if Tim can inch closer. I noticed Jake Ottinger doesn't have any stats. Oh no, he did get the they lost in a shootout. So Dallas hasn't really played a lot of hockey yet. We'll have to see if his stud goaltender can get him some wins. Oh, the other Kraken Tim has is Phil Grubauer. He just is not getting any run support, guys. So we'll see and monitor that Seattle Kraken. Killer Bunnies, they're taking on the Nova Fire Brigade. This one is another tight matchup for Hull. He's losing at this current point in time. I think this is going to be a big rivalry here in the Ovechkin. Scott trying to rebound off a loss last week. He's got the goal scoring so far and getting the net minding. There's been a lot of shorthanded points. Neither one of these teams have any, but I noticed there's been a lot of shorties this year. Anybody care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mentioned that the other day about how many shorthanded goals we've had so far this year. I'm not really sure what that is. I don't know if it's just because it's the beginning of the NHL season and they're making a lot of mistakes. They're still tuning into the system. That might have something to do with it. I don't think the shorthanded situation is any different than any other season. But yeah, we've had I mean, I think we've had at least 10 or 12 that I can think of already this year, and that's a lot more than usual. But yeah, I think it's just some rust on some of the power play units, and they're making mistakes, and I think that'll level out as the season goes on.
Yes, Stork, in this matchup between the Killer Bunnies and Nova Fire Brigade, you took the Killer Bunnies. I believe I also took Danny Hall. Yep. And Don Cherry, he predicts that the Killer Bunnies will win as well. Nick,
Bunnies.
what do you think of the Bunnies? Yeah. Um, I noticed he has Dylan Larkin. He was your captain last year, Stork. This guy's on fire this week. A goal, 3 assists, 4 points. What do you think, guys? Think of the Detroit Red Wings. I had them on the outside. They beat the Penguins tonight, and they beat the Lightning the other night, and they're kind of rolling. Might have changed my stance. That Atlantic Division is going to be a war with your Leafs there, Stork.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Detroit's a very good young team, and of course, Stevie Eiserman knows what he's doing, and he's going to put together a good team. He knows talent, and he'll get players that are a lot like he was, a workhorse, plays hard every night, doesn't take a shift off, and he's going to demand that from his team too. So Detroit, they've got a good chance of making a playoff spot this year. It's going to be a tough division. I don't think, like we said before, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to be the same as they were before. I think they're going to struggle actually to get a playoff spot. But everybody should be watching Detroit because if they get rolling and have a good start to this year, they're going to be tough to beat the rest of the season.
Yeah, as far as Scott's Nova Fire Brigade, he's got the Washington Capitals on his team. I noticed Ovechkin finally got his first point tonight in a blowout loss. He did get an assist, but no shots for Ovi 2 straight games. That's crazy. But I'll tell you who is red hot. Back to those Red Wings. Alex DeBrincat. This guy has 2 goals, 2 assists already this week. I think he has 4 goals on the season, unless they scored more. I can't remember. That one went final not too long ago. But Nova's going to be there. I think he's got some offensive talent. Mikko Rantanen was his first pick. He's been blowing it up. He always has a hot start. Those Colorado Avalanche look to be red hot again. And I like Scott's goaltending. So he had a rough start in week 1. I think he could bounce back. I'm trying to figure out why Grapes didn't pick this one as game of the week. We'll see how this one goes. Let's go to Nick's matchup. He's got the defending champs. He's in a deadlock, 10-10, guys. A lot of goal scoring in your matchup, Nick. Who do you like? I'm seeing Joel Eriksson X back, baby. He's got a lot of him. And yeah, go ahead.
Lucky, I mean, I'm playing against Eck, and that's crazy. He had a hell of a game, but luckily I had Zuccarello and Kaprizov starting, so I got 3 points out of each of those 2 players. So I mean, it was great.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Eck is still
that is Mark's team. Never mind.
One of our favorite players. I know that me and Jimmy both agree. He just plays hockey so phenomenally. Yeah. I mean, he's the total guy. Tough around the cage, but still has, movements. He's got those long reach, so he's able to pull some of those pucks out defense. I mean, he's just a great player to watch. But I'll tell you what, we're pretty close. Mark pulled ahead of me a little bit towards the end. He's got 1 more shot on goal, 1 more game-winning goal, 1 more hit. I mean, this is going to come down to literally Sunday, the last game again, which is awesome because last year, I don't know if y'all remember, I wasn't very competitive for a few of the games. So it's cool to see that I'm skating with some of the best and we're able to pull some win out. So.
Well, I'm excited for you, Nick, because you got Rupe Hintz. You didn't really get a good taste of him last week. The Dallas Stars were one of the few teams that barely played any games. They got to get some games under their belt. Good to see him back. He's already got an assist for you. Claude Giroux had a great night. He's got some points for you. And your boy, The Thrill, got a 3-point week so far. And I saw the Senators game. Tarasenko, I think, is a great fit there in Ottawa. You got a really good team. And Carlson, God, how many Carlsons do you have?
Just both of them.
Great week so far going. I think he's been outstanding with Pittsburgh. We all knew that. Your blue line's really offensive. I like what you got going on there. Vemelka, I thought he had a great game in a 1-0 shutout loss to the Islanders last night. I think he's just, if he was on any other team than Arizona's up and coming, I think he's going to be getting better stats this year. As far as the defending champs, they're not losing a step right now. I mean, they lost a lot of guys, but we'll see how Robertson does. He doesn't like Hintz. He hasn't played too much yet this year, but Brady Tkachuk's throwing his weight around. Look at Andrew Kopp. He's got 3 goals already. That, like I said, that Red Wings team is really looking good off the start here, and they're off to a red hot 23-24 campaign. So excited to see where this match goes. Nick, Grapes did pick the defending champs. Jimmy also picked the defending champs. Storky, you picked Nick.
I did pick Nick.
Nice work. And Nick,
I felt bad for him with that logo in the back. So I wanted to give him a little heads up and cheer him on this week.
When were they established? Yeah. What is it, 1917?
Oh, yeah.
Original 6.
Nick picked himself.
I did in an upset.
Again.
So in an upset, though. I did say it wasn't going to be an upset.
Yeah, DB Cooper's goaltending, guys. I don't know. Is this for real? His goaltending average is 11 goals.
Yeah, he got
11.001. Holy crap!
The goalie got hurt. Got pulled.
Is that right? Okay.
Like 4 shots.
Yeah. That's not going to win you any games.
No, not at all. All right, let's go to Stork's matchup. He's got a big lead right now on Julio, 13-3. But looking at it, eyeballing it, it's mostly because of your goaltending. But you do have a lot of people getting penalties, Stork. Get a little goonery going for you.
I gotta get them amped up a little bit more. Like I said, I needed to take care of some problems that I had last year, and I'm working on all that. And after that tough week 1 loss, I wanted to come out barreling and putting the guns out there and getting some points, because as much as I think Julio's going to have a really good team this year, and he could have a championship caliber team, he's not going to step over me to get there. So I'm going to make it tough on him.
Timestamp that. I want to show Julio. Yeah, all your penalties this week have come from that little twerp in Philly, Travis Konechny. That guy's having a hot start as well.
He's a goon.
I think he's a good little player though. And then you got New Jersey Devil Jesper Bratt again this year. That guy, I don't think he gets talked about enough around the league. He's loving having Jack Hughes and company in this team. Are you feeling pretty good about your goaltending this year, Stork? You've got Gordiev, Colorado.
I'm much better. That was another area that I struggled again last year. I was one of the worst goaltending teams in the league. And that's just another thing that I think I worked on. I'm quite happy with the guys I got this year. I think it's going to be a much better year in the goaltending stats. But it's something that I had to work on. I had to pick up a goalie last week, and I want to see Swayman play some more games. I'm kind of hoping he kind of beats out Allman and takes a lion's share of the games this year. So if that happens and he gets at least 30-35 games in, I'll be very happy with my goaltending this year, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's the same situation for me. I have Akira Schmidt on the Devils. I think the Devils can get a lot of, or it's he's got a goaltending duo with Vitek, and I think eventually you might see Schmidt take that spot over again. We'll see. Speaking of Vanacek, that's who Julio has, your opponent. But so far, getting the win this week was Sergei Bobrovsky. The Florida Panthers finally get a big win the other night. Julio's team, Like I said, if he would have had the goaltending straight last week, he probably would most likely be 1-0. Another Detroit Red Wing out there's JT Compher. Julio's enjoying his start. Julio's also got Nate McKinnon rolling. McKinnon's didn't really do too much last night in Seattle, but he did get 7 face-off wins. Who Who's another? Oh, he's got Ryan Nugent Hopkins. That might be one of his top point getters. The Nuge is just on fire again. I think this guy's going to easily get 100 points hanging around that power play in Edmonton. So Julio's going to be a dangerous team to play. Graves, I believe, picked Julio, right? For this week.
Of course he did.
Against your team there, Storky. He's having a feud with you.
What did he do?
Jimmy,
He picked me maybe twice last year or something, and he's already 0-2 against me this year. So I don't know what I did to the guy.
Yeah.
It was Nick that was bad mouthing him, not me. I just agreed with Nick.
Mark me also down for Julio. He's trying to get avenged from last week's not starting any goalies. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, mark me down for Julio too. I hated to do it, but his team is just too good.
And then Storky, he obviously picked himself.
But I would be more than happy, Storky, to be proven wrong.
Well, I told you I was after last week's upset. I felt really bad about it because I had a chance to win that game. I just couldn't get it done on Sunday. But this one, like I said, I wanted to fly out of the gate and get a quick lead on him and shake up the Julio party that I think is going to happen later on. But like I said, he's not walking over me to get to the dance.
I'll tell you what, though, I had some goaltending issues in week 1. One of my goalies went down and got pulled. And of course, he got pulled in the beginning of the second period. So the next goalie played longer and did a shutout after that. That I traded for the goalie that started because I needed a starter. So this 3 goalie rule, it's going to get people, and it's going to be pretty cool throughout the year picking up goalies, and you'll see some really good net miners that are going to end up getting put on the waiver wire just because someone has to get somebody in there.
Yep.
So.
Oh, it's happened once already in week 1. It's going to happen again 2 or 3 more times, I think, during the year, where they're going to be sitting on Sunday and the guy's not going to be starting and they're going to be in a panic. And they're going to have to pick up the goalie, whoever's left in the trough.
Yeah, when I dropped Skinner to pick up Campbell because I saw Campbell was starting, I should have just stuck with Skinner and he would have been
just I remember fine. That. Right.
So.
All right, gentlemen, one last matchup to talk about, and it's mine. Yeah, Americans licking the wounds from last week's ass drubbing. First ever meeting, taking on Alex. First of 3 meetings in the divisional play. Right now, Alex has an 11-8 lead. A lot of that has to do with she's already got 30 minutes in penalties, guys. Jacob Trouba that night against the Coyotes. This guy had like 12 minutes in penalties in one game, and she's got a bunch of goons, minors here and there, but she's rolling in penalties at 30-6. I picked up that Wi-Fi guy last night just to get Pims. He's also a pretty good D, but he didn't really do anything for me. I'm gonna be hard pressed to catch her in that category unless guys start dropping the mitts. But Alex hasn't even, like we said earlier, hasn't even got it going with McJesus yet. So we'll see how she goes. She's got a great start from that. Jake Sanderson there in Ottawa had a tremendous night tonight there on the blue line. This guy skated circles around the Capitals. She's enjoying the riches of Bouchard on the blue line for the power play. He's got 2 apples already this week. Another Senator, the Ridley Gregg. I think he's a fine little young hockey player. She's got a good mix of vets and young guys on her team. She's got P.L. Dubois there in L.A., who had a nice revenge game against the Jets the other night. Like I said, Malkin's just off to a red-hot start. McJesus, not even put up McJesus numbers yet, but only time will tell. And don't sleep on Nico Hischier. That's why she's beating me in draws as well. He's already got 15 face-off wins. this week. Actually, I'm hanging tight with her there, 44-38 so far. So Jari and Shesterkin are her goalies. Jari got the loss tonight. Shesterkin got the win the other night. Jimmy wise, we got to get Tage Thompson a memo. What's going on? This guy hasn't scored a point yet. So Tage, my number one pick, paging Tage Thompson. Please get your head out of your arse. Zach Hyman, another beauty there in Edmonton. I mean, these guys just are point machines. He had a 4-point night the other night in Nashville. God, in Nashville, even that was just a drubbing. So we got some offensive spark here in Anna. I like Cale Makar. He's doing a great. Oh, and Mo Sider has been unbelievable. I got my shorty point from Cale Makar the other day, so good to see Cale providing me some stats. I've got old reliable Connor Hellebuck. He hasn't had a great start yet, but he's reliable to get starts. And I've still got Devin Levi on the roster. I think he's played well. The team in front of him just hasn't. They won the other night against Tampa. He got the win. But I had Connor starting. We'll see what I do with Devin Levi. I'm going to give him a couple more weeks. I know Stork in another league, you dropped him.
I did.
Thoughts on that? Thoughts on that kid?
Well, I like him, and I think he's going to be the goaltender for the future in Buffalo. I think he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of promise, but I just don't think he's ready to carry the mail for the Sabres, especially a team that's up and coming and they're growing. He's going to get some action, but I just don't. I think he's going to need some help in Buffalo. If you had a chance to hold on to him in one of the fantasy leagues, that's something to think about doing because another 2 or 3 years from now, I think he's going to be one of the top goaltenders in the NHL.
I'm going to give him a shot tomorrow if he's starting. I know Connor Hellebuck's got a tougher matchup. I think Connor plays the Vegas Knights maybe. So we'll see if Levi doesn't get the chance. I'm going to definitely have Connor in. But yeah, guys, should be a tough match there with Alex. Grapes went with Alex. I also picked Alex. Storky, you picked.
I think I picked you. I picked you.
Wow. So did I.
Where do I send the check?
See, even Nick picked you.
Oh, Nick, you did. Yeah.
So don't
you guys
disappoint
have the faith.
us.
I really appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I picked against you guys. Maybe I'll make it up to you. We'll see how it goes.
Come up with a win.
Yeah, so we got everybody's
picks. You don't want the rookie to go 2-0 at your expense, do you?
Yeah.
Nah. Well, it's gonna be a tough one. But full slate tomorrow. I like my lineup. I'll probably be looking at a right wing. I'm in need of a right wing, so I'm not trying to tip my hand, you guys, but I'm gonna fill a position tomorrow. But any thoughts, guys, to wrap this show up? This was a great review week. We got a great week 2 coming up. Nick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
gracious
through...
of you to pay up your debt there.
Oh, always. There's only one debt I haven't paid up, and it's because I couldn't find a Kerry Collins jersey, if you remember, from about 17 years ago, where the Washington football team played the Minnesota Vikings in a playoff game, and there was no reason the Vikings should have lost, but they lost to a guy named Kerry Collins at quarterback. So
I wouldn't even I totally forgot who that guy was until you just brought him up.
What
so
a
now I
flash
remember.
in the pan.
Oh man.
Yep, that was a.
Oh man.
What a
weird year.
We had a bet, and I could not find a jersey to save my life to wear and to send a video to Jimmy explaining how much better Washington was than my Minnesota Vikings. So the only bet that I haven't been able to pay up, but eventually maybe one day we'll get that through.
Good, brother.
But I do want to run down the very early NHL standings as they sit today, so that we can see where we're at. So in the East, we have in the Atlantic Division, Senators 3-1, Red Wings 3-1, Bruins 2-0, the Leafs at 2-1 in that 4th place spot, 1-1 for the Canadiens, and 1 overtime loss. We have the Lightning as 1 win, 2 losses, 1 overtime loss. Then we have the Panthers at 1-2, and at the bottom, the Buffalo Sabres, a team that we thought was going to improve as of right now, just hasn't made it happen. We'll move to the Metro, Jimmy's favorite division, and we have the Hurricanes, which we all thought were going to be a good team, are just proving it like they do every year at 3-1. The Islanders at 2-0, Rangers at 2-1. Flyers making up that fourth spot, which another team that Jimmy thought was going to kind of fall down the bandwagon, sitting above 500 as of right now at 2-1.
Not gonna last.
And then the Pittsburgh is kind of more of the shock, I think, that we have next to Columbus at 2-2, sitting at 500, not looking good these last two games. I don't know where the kid is or what he's up to, but he needs to bring it back after losing to Bedard the first game, and then who else did they lose to?
They beat they looked real good against the Caps. They shut us out, and then they had another big win against Calgary, and then they've kind of come back to earth. Yep. So I think they're gonna be in the playoffs, but
they'll be squeaking through. Barely. And then we got New Jersey, a young team we all like at 1-1-1. That's not a big shock. That's a pretty good team that they'll bounce back. Columbus though at 1-2 has not looked good. They've looked disjointed. They've looked slow, not skating the way they used to. So we'll keep our eyes on that. And in the basement is Jimmy's Capitals at 1-2. And again, I think we talked about it earlier. The age is just getting to them. Needs time to start building around.
I'm afraid we'll have to probably get used to that because I like the way Philly's playing, man. They are definitely making me look. Torts is going to coach that team. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but
they will.
Couturier's back. He scored a penalty shot the other night. I think they're going to fight
hard.
He'll be
hurt next week.
Yeah, that's the only problem is he's got to stay healthy.
He's going to be hurt next week. He'll be gone for 3 months.
So we'll run through the West real quick, starting at the Central with the Avalanche at number 1, Wild at 3-0, the Wild at 2-1, and the Blackhawks at 2-2. This was that division that we all agreed on. The top 3 spots were just going to be up in the air.
What about
we never
Corey
thought,
Perry, man?
Yes, we never thought that the Blackhawks would be up in that mix. And watching them play, everybody's sniffing on Bedard's jockstrap, and he finally got a goal and an assist. So he's got 2 points in 3 games, which is respectable for a rookie. However, in 4 games. However, Perry, geez, he's just carrying that team. So,
him and Revo the other night.
Yep. Yeah.
Boy, both y'all boys.
Well, Foligno and Revo had a pretty good bout, and it lasted a little bit of a while. So
that was a big one.
There's some big boys, and if Foligno hadn't been too close to the glass, I think it would have ended a little bit sooner than it should have. But great bout. Coming in fourth, like we talked about, Dallas with just 1 win and 1 overtime win. They didn't play much, so we still haven't seen the Robertson, Rope Hintz or Pavelski or any of those guys kind of come to life. So I'm pretty excited about this week, seeing what happens with them, even though I hate them and they suck. After them, we got the Blues at 1-0-1, the Jets at 1-2, the Coyotes at 1-2, and the Preds at 1-3. And I think you talked about Nashville. They just have not come up to skate. I don't know where their players are, what they're doing, but hopefully they can turn it around. And then finally in the Pacific, Jimmy's favorite team, the Golden Knights, at 4-0, just killing people. They just look so good. And then we've talked about the Vancouver Canucks also looking like a team that's going to be up there in the end at 2-1.
I got them in.
So that's going to be this whole division is going to be pretty good. The Kings at 1-1-1. They seem like they're just getting started. Same with the Flames at 1-1-1. It seems like they're just trying to find their feet. The big shocker, though, Anaheim's 1-1-0. That's not a big shocker, but the big shocker is the Oilers at 1-2. They're putting up a lot of points. They're just not winning games. And I go back to the beginning of preseason when we started talking about it. And I brought that up as, hey, you can have all the firepower in the world. And I think, Jimmy, you agree. You have to have defense and goaltending. When all your defensive players are offensive players, there's nobody there kind of to support that netminder. So we'll see them, I'm sure, get back up. I mean, it's their division to lose. So we'll see what happens. And then you got the Sharks at 0-2 and the Kraken at 0-3-1. That's hard. That's hard to swallow, isn't it, Tim? But Cale Makar has scored more points
Time
than
to
I
stay.
think the Kraken have. But anyway, so that's the very early week 1 results as of today, records. So we'll keep a track of those. We'll try and do it weekly to see where we're at and see how the movement is, because I think it's kind of interesting to watch week by week teams rise and fall and then rise to the top. And as I always say, what always rises to the top, Jimmy? The cream always rises to the top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I mean, it is kind of an overreaction early part of this. It's overreaction season. I mean, you can't, win the Stanley Cup in the first week, but you can kind of play yourself out of it here early. People always say that American Thanksgiving is kind of where you see teams what the makeup's going to be, and it's kind of like a stretch to that unofficially. You're going to want to rack up some points here. Long season, but you can play yourself out of it early. That's why a lot of us overreact on stuff. But I don't know, fellas. That Atlantic Division is the most intriguing because I think you're going to see some new blood. I like the way the Leafs are playing, Stork, albeit a little lost there to the Blackhawks. Didn't see that coming, but very excited for your team.
I did.
I like. And they got a new goal horn, so no more Hall and Oates. I don't even know what it is anymore. They didn't keep that song either. I heard. I think they took away that one. It got some heat, so I don't think they have an official, from what I heard. But we'll see your next home game what they do. I guess. Who do you guys play next?
The old Pittsburgh song when they scored a touchdown. For the
Steelers. I remember that.
We Are Family.
Yeah, I remember.
You remember that one?
Right. Yeah.
You guys might be a little too young for that, but
well, I knew it through my mom. She's a Pittsburgh.
Now that's a good goal song. We Are Family.
Yeah, there you go.
Nothing wrong with that.
Send that to your team there.
I should.
Buddy.
I should.
So. All right, fellas. This was a great episode 4 of the Storks Desk. I thank you, gents, for joining me. Should be a great weekend of hockey. It's every night, baby. Tonight was a light night, 2 games. Pittsburgh lost to Detroit, and the Senators look really good. They beat my Washington Capitals 6-1. A rough night for me, but every day's a great day for hockey, guys. Badger Bob always said that. Guys, until next week, we'll talk to you on the Twitter or the Facebook group, and have a great week and good luck to your fantasy teams. Thanks to the Colonel Nick Reedy and the Deputy Kevin Stork. Good night, guys.
Take care, everyone.